Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody that's watching on the YouTube channel. Yo, check it out. My name is Brian B. And this is what you call a web show. What's a web show, Brian? Yo, I don't know what a web show is. I created it, I think. And probably didn't, but I think I did. But you want to know why I call it a web show? This is why I call it a web show. Because podcast is too simple. See, I can't explain myself in a podcast. You know what a podcast is? You put a podcast on, and you got a podcast man sitting there in a podcast hat and a podcast t-shirt. He's talking, and you don't even got to watch him. But you got to watch me. You know why you got to watch me? Because I'm Brian B. And this is the Beeline, baby. Check it out. Let's go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Yo, I start every single episode saying thank you so much to all the love and support and everything that you guys have been showing me over a year. We've been on for a year, y'all. That's right. The Beeline. We heading to high numbers. We making moves. We meeting people. Man, I've been networking almost everywhere I go, man, and doing this talking with strangers. That's what we do today. I don't know. We got a screen on the screen, y'all. But we talking with strangers today, y'all. We gonna get to know Mr. David in a minute. But I just want to say, like I said, thank you guys so much for the love and support. Everybody who's checking this out, you see my little face pop up on your timeline, on your Instagram photos, messages, whatever, TikToks. I ain't dancing, but I'm saying I got, messages coming across there, video clips, the Beeline cuts is all over the place. But I just really hope you guys hit that subscribe button, that like button, that bell for the notifications, whatever else they got that can get me noticed out here, because the Beeline is popping and it's a web show, baby. It's a podcast, whatever you want to call it. But that's what we doing over here. Hey, yo, David, I love this shit. Can you tell, man? Can you tell?
Absolutely. I wish I could carry even half your energy, Brian. That's some impressive stuff. And congratulations on your 1 year too. That's quite an accomplishment. It really is. So
I appreciate it. But anyway, yo, Beeline, we have a guest today, and this is, like I said, it's going to be about our second Talking with Strangers segment. I met Mr. David off of Facebook. We interacted, and I don't know him. I never knew him in my life, but I know him now. And it's a very interesting gentleman we have on the show today, and I want to get to know him, and you're going to get to know him. So without further ado, Mr. David Hopkins, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, how you doing, Mr. David?
I am doing awesome, Brian. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I don't know what you want me just to give a little background of myself.
Yeah, sure.
That work for you? Okay, good.
That's cool.
So I'm actually a college professor. I've been in higher ed for over 20 plus years. So I've been around the block a few times in the circles of higher ed. I actually am down here in Tampa, Florida, often called Champa Bay right now, with the Bucks and the Lightning winning their championships.
Yeah.
So I teach on multiple campuses. I mean, I teach our active duty soldiers. I'm out at MacDill Air Force Base. So both CENTCOM, Special Ops Command out there, and then also an urban campus right in downtown Tampa. And then I go all the way out in the suburbs, teach another campus. So I get a lot of time around college students, over 300 plus every semester. I teach in the humanities. So after I got out of the Army, I got a bachelor's, master's, doctorate degree in the humanities. And so I'm that guy that teaches those gen ed classes in the in the college environment. So.
Listen, man. Yeah. You know what? That's really interesting that you say it like in itself, because it's like, this is the future generation. Your college kids, that's the next step before you get to, being prepared for whatever field you're going into the world, and
Absolutely.
Where we are right now with like you said, the Gen X is that's the condition now, right? Whatever it's called. Gen X, whatever.
Gen Z, Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah. I don't know what's going to be next or whatever, but it's a lot. in like a from my point of view, it's a lot of like transitionary, almost everything across the board at this point. Like, you don't even, I mean, from gender to body, image, whatever the case may be, everything is very is very hard, looked at right now. So I don't know if that's a Gen Z thing or whatever, but being around that many college students, I mean, just a quick kind of recap. How is it? How is it as far as like, just being around that much diversity? And I really don't even know what to call it, because it's just so much at this point with the younger generation.
Well, I can tell you this, because people ask me this all the time. I've seen multiple generations. Obviously, I've been teaching for 20 years in the colleges. This group right now, this young group, the Gen Z crowd, has the greatest potential of any group I've ever seen in my life. And, so many people, especially the older generation and even my generation in Gen X, we're like, oh, these young kids, they're just late. They are some of the sharpest kids. The access to technology, they grew up with technology in their hands.
Yeah.
They have in their hand more information than people had in their lives in the 1600s. Go back 400 or 500 years. So they're so incredibly astute at that sort of thing. But at the same time, this technology and the things going on in society, they're changing so rapid because the world changes so rapidly.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of stress. Obviously, the cost of education. The studies are showing that this younger generation may be the most sedated, with drugs, with the antidepressant drugs, there's so much stress that maybe my generation never even dreamed of. You go to college today, you could buy it's like buying a brand new house almost. The cost is so astronomically high. The stakes are so high.
Yeah.
So the things that this younger generation goes through right now is something I would have never even dreamed of going through. Yeah. But boy, the potential is off the charts in so many of them. So if we can get it right, wow.
Yeah. You want to know something that's interesting about that whole thing? Like you just said, the technology is something that's, of course, like, you can't ignore it. That's definitely a big factor in like the development in the, younger generation of today. And, I say it like I'm 1,000 years old, but I'm only 34. Right. At the end of the day, it's just like, it is a difference. Like when I look back, I'm like, damn, like, people who are like, 10 years old are like, beyond graduating at this point when I was, in high school and stuff. Right. But when you think about just how much skill and knowledge is just being given, I spoke about it a couple of times, just being given from the smartphones, just being given from the tablets, and information that you can gain on Google alone. Right. You can literally self-educate, in multiple ways, just by sitting in your house. You can go to school, you can get that piece of paper and everything like that or whatever. But as far as an education, if that's what you're searching for and you don't want to go to college, you don't want to take that path, you definitely, I'm not trying to, down college and everything like that, but you can definitely see that you don't need it anymore. There's a lot of skills that people have obtained. And I don't think it's ever been easier for anybody to start their own business path on their own completely. I mean, we've talked to a lot of people that were in the music industry, and that was a really big topic of conversation, because these big businesses would sit there and, capitalize off of completely dominating every piece of your art, of your work. And now people are able to promote and market for themselves. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy that like, you still need college and stuff like that, as far as like, with the education, you got, good professors like yourself that come in and try to help students and guide them into their, field of choice. But it's like, at the same time, these people know how to get out there and work hard on their own and find development on their own. And, and there's a lot of programs and products out there, and YouTube is, what I'm saying? Like, you learn how to do whatever the hell you want to do on a YouTube video, pick it up, hit a couple of websites, put your name out there and promote for yourself. And next thing you know, you have your own business. It's crazy that that it's like, I wonder how much longer education is going to stay kind of the same from when we were coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it seems like, with virtual learning, everything has kind of came into a different kind of way of people learning. And now you're over here thinking that maybe there's going to be a different path altogether, not just because of COVID, but just because you can actually sit home and actually do this shit now. It's crazy to think about.
Well, and I can tell you, Brian, I have a cousin who teaches at Harvard University, and let me just and you talked about, just doing your own business. So let's take a Harvard University graduate from the mid 1990s, spent $250,000 to get that degree in marketing, never took a social media marketing class.
Yeah.
Got this beautiful, shiny little piece of paper on the wall. But now here we sit in 2021, and guess what that person to work in marketing has to do now today? Go back to school, go back and get training, watch YouTube videos to figure out how to navigate and how to properly use that stuff. The problem with higher education, and I'm about the most traditionalist you can get. I have a doctorate degree in the humanities, for goodness sake. That's like the oldest degree ever offered in the history of universities. They've been around forever. The reality is universities can't keep up with how quick technology changes. Even if they wanted to, there's no way. Studies are showing that a lot of these students, what they are learning when they're freshmen, are no longer relevant by the time they're seniors. That's how quick the world changes.
That is so crazy.
And, the one thing that universities can teach that is so vital is how to think. The technical knowledge of how to program in Python, that's going to change. But if you can learn to think, you can learn to speak, you can learn to write, you can learn to adapt, you can learn to communicate, you can learn to get along with other people, you can learn to collaborate. Those skills will go on forever. But you're very right. Those technical skills, what can't you learn on YouTube anymore? I mean, it'd be really hard to find any topic on the planet Earth that you could not learn.
Yeah.
Because, the flow of information is just something that it has never been seen in the history of the world. It's just
exactly.
It's that profound of an impact. And it will impact the universe at some point. At some point, universities, either one, are going to have to make a drastic change, or two, slash the prices so that it's more economical and the experience of college becomes worth it. Or, they may go the way of the dinosaur. It's not unfathomable that could happen. I mean,
that's one of the things that, I'm noticing, like, as I'm getting older. Like, I got 3 kids, they're not nowhere near college yet, but I mean, I'm just looking at the differences as far as education is going now. Like, I don't want to talk too much on this topic, but it's like you can see that, like, you just made a good point, like teaching them how to think, teaching them how to interact and things like that, or whatever. But that social development is one of the biggest and most important things to me, I think, that you learn in school, public school, private school, whatever. You're learning how to interact with people. You're learning how to deal with people. You're learning how to deal with people who are mean, nice, sweet, whatever. You're learning tricks of the trade of the world without really, being taught it. It's just kind of happening around you.
You're learning how to live life. I mean, that's life.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like when you start to see that, like, that was one thing I noticed my kids were kind of really missing with this whole online learning thing that they were doing when they were here. And it was like, teaching them to go back to school now is like, we've been like having conversations like, hey, you got to make sure you're talking to this guy, or be nice to this person and do this. And it kind of feels like, they're in a lower, grade level when I'm telling them this, but it's because they've missed 1.5 years of like this interaction with kids. Like, you're not getting that shit on the online thing. It's like,
you can't recreate that.
Exactly. No. It's very hard. So I think that is a big thing that these kids are going to be learning, in the early stages and in the college years. But we'll see. I don't want to talk too much about that. I definitely want to get into you. I know you're a very interesting guy. And so Mr. David, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open the floor, and I would like you to kind of like, give a little bit of dialogue on. I know you have a very interesting place where life has placed you in the last year or so of your life.
Last few years, yes, sir.
Yeah, I really would like to get into this conversation so people can get to know you. So go ahead, man. Floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I guess the day that it all started to change for me, I have to flash all the way back to 2017. I promise I'm not going to talk for 40 minutes to explain this, but the bottom line is I ended up in the ER. I came home from work, and all of a sudden I think I have the flu. And I'm like, boy, that was weird. That came on all of a sudden, very strange. And so when I get the flu, I try and flush it out. So I'm drinking water and I'm slamming Gatorade, and I'm just throwing it up and throwing up. I'm like, well, I'm gonna flush this thing out.
Yeah.
3 days later, I'm so weak. I finally turned to my wife, and I literally 3 days went, and I said, I think I'm gonna pass out if you don't take me to the ER. So rush me to the ER. Get in there, they run a scan, find out I have an intestinal blockage.
Oh,
So
wow.
if anybody knows what this is, basically they had to gut me like a fish from the top of my stomach all the way down to the bottom, take all my intestines out of my body, find the blockage, fix the blockage, and then sew me back up.
Holy shit.
So this process from beginning to end, once I finally started to feel normal again about a year and a half later. It was that long because, they cut your stomach open, they cut all your core muscle, and you got to rebuild all that stuff.
That is crazy.
From scratch. So, if it would have ended right there, it really wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But right in smack in the middle of 2020, that we're in COVID.
Yeah, that's
nobody wants to go to the doctor go anywhere near it because, loaded with COVID patients and all that.
Yeah.
Bam, my stomach, I start to feel that pain in my stomach again. And I'm like, oh, this cannot be this thing again. So here I go, carted back in the middle of COVID, back into the ER, run more scans. Luckily, it wasn't a blockage, but I had a severe infection. This infection persisted. They put me on a round of antibiotics for a month. That didn't kill it. They put me on another round of antibiotics for a month. Finally, it was just reacting to the medicines they were giving. It was just an awful, awful experience. But it was at that point, really. And, I think when people make changes in their life, sometimes you just have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. That old cliche that everybody always says. It's a good one, though.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So I said, all right, I'm not doing this. And I wasn't living healthy at that point. I really wasn't. That's
what I wanted to ask, not to cut you off, but kind of just to understand the situation. So what did the doctor say that was actually caused from?
Well, the second one was my diet. I was on the SAD diet, that standard American diet, fast food and Coke and all that stuff. I was, I'm a fairly tall guy. I'm 6'2", but I was weighing almost 242, 244. I was a big, out of shape, unhealthy individual.
Yeah,
I was, to be brutally honest. And I even tell my students this story this last semester. I mean, I drank too much. I ate too much. And what I was eating wasn't good for me. I was not living healthy. I wasn't sleeping well. I was stressed out. COVID had me just kind of, flustered like many different people. I was bouncing off the walls in the house and, so I come to this point, I'm like, all right, I'm not doing this ever again. I'm just not going to do this. And my journey, I had a doctorate degree, so I know how to research. That's one thing that you learn when you get advanced degrees. So my goal was I don't want this to happen to me anymore. How do I live an optimal life? How do I get out of this rut? How do I get out of this just tired and brain fogged and out of shape? What do I need to do? So I start looking into things and trying to find the right diet and what should I do? And you go online and you see a miracle pill, lose 20 pounds in 10 days or six-pack abs in 6 minutes a day. And then, of course, the models that do that are working out 3.5 hours and not eating anything.
Yeah.
So
it's so easy to kind of sit there and gain somebody's interest because that's something. And one thing you notice when you start looking at paying attention to all that shit or whatever, when people are really serious about doing something, even when they're really serious, they're still trying to look for wait a minute, I can do that like this. I really need this done. Whether it be the anticipation of the after, whatever you're trying to gain to reach your goal. I think that's what gets people. I hear a lot of times people are always like, oh, you're just trying not to work hard. I don't think that people at all times are just trying not to work hard. I think that people are so desperate, and I'm saying people I'm not one of them motherfuckers. I'm not stupid to get caught up in that dumb pill or whatever. But
right.
people, I think at times people are so desperate for the instant results that it's like sometimes they just want to believe anything. You know what I'm saying? If it seems too good to be true, even you might even know it. But I think that, you know, people will just take the risk. Like, you know, people take those you have those ads to those dick commercials and stuff like that all on TV all the time. And you know, you got pills like, take this pill and grow 5 inches.
Oh yeah.
If you think there's some shit like
everybody be walking around like bodybuilders and perfect supermodels if that was actually true.
Like, you gotta like understand, man. Like, I definitely understand people. Like, you know, that's why I don't pass no judgment. Like, you know, if people will sit there and see certain shit and they're like, "Hey, I wish I could. I'm gonna get that right now." You know, buy them damn Lipozine or whatever the fuck. Trying to instantly, I'm gonna be skinny tomorrow. Like, no, you're not. But go ahead, man. Yeah, you're right. Like,
so I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm analyzing. And there's the keto diet, and there's the Mediterranean diet, and there's the slim fast diet, and then this and this and this. And I'm like, what? And it just got over. It's like, what in the world is all this stuff? Because you read it carefully in the details and you look at the reviews, and it's like none of that stuff ever works for it can work for the short run, and you can lose weight, but I mean, it doesn't do any good if you lose 20 pounds in 2 months and then you gain back 25 in the 4th month. What's the point? You're worse than where you started at. And so during my research, I started stumbling on some stuff, and it stuck with me. And I mean, I read a lot of being a humanities professor, everything from Aristotle to Plato to Socrates, even like some amazing modern figures like Henry David Thoreau, or you look at Benjamin Franklin. It's like, dang, they all do a lot of the same stuff. And they talk about, this is the way to live your life. This is what you need to do to be successful. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, I'm going to try that. That seems way too stupid and simple. I mean, the things that I arrived at, sometimes it's kind of embarrassing to even talk about them because they're so brain dead dumb. They're so simple. They're not easy, but
so you're talking about as far simple. As like dieting and stuff like that?
Yeah, as far as diet. So what I ended up doing, I mean, the diet was the first thing for me. And so I stumble across all this stuff, and it's like, okay, how about you just eat real food? When I say real food, I mean like a Twinkie is a food-like substance. You could set that on your counter and come back in 10 years and open that wrapper, and you could eat that. That's not real food. That's a food-like substance. But if you eat fruits, vegetables, whole fresh meat, sea-caught fish, just like real food, like everybody's supposed to eat the rest of their life, cut out the processed sugar, cut out the processed carbs, just eat real food. Yeah. It's so simple, but so hard to do.
Yeah, very true.
And so I started that, man, and it changed my life. And now a year later,
let me speak on that real quick, Dave, while we're talking about that topic. Listen, there's no news to anybody that's been watching this show. Like Brian B, I've been out of weight. I've been out of shape for a long time, man. I've had my ups and down periods. I'm actually going through a pretty good up period right now. Yeah. But I always get mad with myself in certain situations because it's like I feel like the same stuff you're talking about right now has been stuff that I kind of experienced. I think a lot of people do understand, exactly what they need to do. And when I say a lot of people, I'm not trying to pass judgment on everybody, but I'm saying a lot of people have to understand at this point with all the information that's around, people know what they have to do to lose weight. If you want to lose weight, you do understand at this point the certain, steps that you have to take. That's whether it just be like stop eating fast food and hamburgers and processed and chips and shit. That can't be brand new news to somebody over 20.
No, that's not breaking news on the CNN scroll. No,
you can't not realistically know that. But like you said, I think one of the biggest things like people don't know is where to find time to make the correct movements in order to or correct buying things right, feeding their family and learning that you can feed your family without just buying like frozen French fries and shit like that or whatever, even though it's cheap and stuff like that. Or you have the situations, and I'm just going off the shit that I be thinking or the excuses that I make when I'm like, oh, I don't want to buy a salad because it's gonna go bad before we all eat it, and I'm gonna throw it out. And then you'll make that, and that'll be a challenge for you.
Right.
And then you'll go buy a damn frozen dinner and you're like, oh, this stays in the freezer forever. So it's like certain things, I think, for people, I think people make excuses because it's easier than actually trying hard and doing exactly what they have to do.
Yeah.
That's what I was noticing for myself, even like, just if it's easy, it's convenient, it's fast, and it's going to work for you until you are unhappy with the results that are coming back for you. And that's when you're like, well, what do I do? Let me research the whole fucking planet. When realistically, you know that you should just not bought that burger last Tuesday. Like, it's just, it's that simple, man. Just being honest, straight to the point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting the things you say. I've had people say exactly your thing. And so, when I started that, I had literally the same things you talk about. I mean, there wasn't a frozen pizza, a barbecue, whatever that I would pass up very easily. I mean, that's what I did. And it took about 3 months or so. By the third month, man, I don't even know how to describe it, like a brain fog, because I didn't have any of that processed junk in my body anymore. It was literally like, it's like, if you're driving a high octane, a high performance sports car, you need that high octane fuel for it to function properly, or it's going to be sputtering and kicking.
Exactly.
Well, I've been sputtering and kicking for decades. I didn't even realize how bad it was getting.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I started to lose weight. I started to eat fresh, healthy food. I wasn't lethargic after I ate. I would sleep through the whole night. I had more energy. And once that starts to kick in, those little things like, oh gosh, this is a pain to go to the grocery aisle. Oh, this might go bad. It doesn't matter as much because you're feeling and seeing. The hardest kick though is those first 3 months, boy. You try and get off sugar.
Yeah,
just getting off processed sugar alone is no joke.
Yeah.
But the key is once your body starts to operate at a higher level, it doesn't want to go back to it.
Yeah.
And that's the motivating thing that allows you. But it's hard to get there. It's really, I had the health thing. I had it really. Could I have done what I did this last year before I had the health problems? I can't honestly look in the mirror and say, oh yeah, I would have fixed myself.
Yeah.
I had that thing like my health is at risk here.
Yeah.
I got to fix this and I got to fix it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thing. And for anybody listening, it's like, you need that thing. Maybe it's your friends. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's just, you have things you want to do. But, at the end of the day, in a year, I lost 41 pounds. I don't know if you go to the gym, those 45-pound plates, how heavy one of those weighs.
Oh, yeah, shit.
As I look back, it's like I was carrying that around my stomach.
Yeah.
No wonder I was tired and lethargic and lacking energy. If you're carrying around that weight and not to have it anymore it's like such a liberating thing. But it's so that was probably, the most important thing, because from there I was just on fire. And, when the brain fog's gone, the energy's there. You don't need an alarm clock. You just wake up in the morning. That's where I'm at now. It's a big deal because I know the opposite of just rolling out of bed oh no, another. I know that feeling. And
I think
hard.
That's one of the things that I've recently just gotten back to kind of experiencing and everything is just like you just said, man. I didn't have like a crazy health thing. I'm actually one of the opposite cases. The craziest shit about me is I've always been overweight. My whole life I've been overweight. I've always battled with it. But I've always also been very active. So I haven't had a lot of the same things that usually come with overweight, stuff like that or whatever as far as health. I've never had like high blood pressure. I've never been in situations like that. So I've always felt comfortable, doing what I wanted to do, working out, then eating bad and stuff like that. Right. I never followed a great routine to completely just, get my shit in order. But I finally, it was a couple of times that I really got really good where I was just managing my stuff, whatever, and really finding what works for me best. But I recently, just like you just said, I kind of just like, got tired of like saying, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And I just did the shit. And I was like, okay, you know what, forget, instead of just eating this, I'm gonna eat that. Instead of just doing this. And I was just making different choices. I didn't think I was gonna stick to anything or do like a diet or had a plan. I was just literally just day by day saying, all right, I'm not gonna do that today. I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna drink more water. I'm gonna try this. I'm not gonna drink carbs.
Right.
And just doing that in the first like 2 weeks, like I lost like 23 pounds, man.
Wow.
And it was like
awesome.
I told my girl, I was like, yo, listen, I'm gonna just like, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds. Like, I know how to do this shit. Coming from somebody who's been working out and doing stuff for forever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just got real, like you said, you get into this stage where you get used to just, living in life, and you're just kind of just making everything easy for yourself. Yes. I think that's the biggest thing, the convenience. You going out, you're able to get home from work, you're stopping by. I don't want to cook. I'm going to grab a burger.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab the whole family burgers. Like, it's easy. Nobody got to do shit. Then you go to bed, you got to roll out the fucking bed in the morning, and then you get up, take a shower, whatever, go in traffic. Everything you want convenience, because there's a lot more structure to your day that you have to fucking do. You don't want to be in traffic. You don't want to do this. You want to have that freedom. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's easier to sit back and just accept what's easy around you.
Right.
But that hard work is like you're saying, when you get up and you fucking, you sit there and say, I'm gonna make this salad, I'm gonna cook for myself and make sure I don't have this bad food, that bad food, actual food. Your body is taking that in as well as your mind. And I think, just along with just the weight that's being lost, you're motivated in a different kind of way. So when you wake up in the morning, you are thinking like, oh, I'm ready to do that. Man, I felt good. I worked out yesterday. It felt really good. I'm going to go work out again today. And now you got a different path that you're on. I think that's really important for people, man. Even when we're just talking about like the school and stuff like that or whatever, when people are in certain situations, I don't think that you should just be waiting for that piece of paper, bro. I think that everything you do, if you choose to do this situation, that's what you're going to school for. I think that you should completely have your mindset on everything you want that piece of paper for, if that makes any fucking sense, But
no, that is, you're hitting on things I talk to my students that first week of class all the time. I mean, anybody can show, but let's be honest. You can go to high school and get a piece of paper with just showing up, basically.
Exactly.
I mean, to fail out of high school, I mean, you got to be screwing up dramatically. Okay, so college is another level. It's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
But the reality is you can C's equal degrees, and you can, if you want to, skate on by. But when you build that mentality, see, too many students like, oh, when I get out of high school, I'm going to take college real serious. Oh, when I get out of college, I'm going to take my job real serious.
Constantly,
And you build a mindset. You build a mindset of average. You build a mindset of mediocrity.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get in those ruts. And whether it's diet, whether it's school, because your mind seeks easy. Your mind seeks simple.
Yes.
If it could never feel any pain again, your body would put you down that path.
Yeah, exactly. Sign me up. Like
it would do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that. I go to the gym 4 times a week now. That's another part of my thing. But there's many days I don't feel like, as I'm going into that gym, like, oh, I don't want to do it. If I do this, I'm just not gonna. I don't want to feel that last rep pushing that hard. I'm gonna quit a little bit.
I'm telling you, bro. I literally look, bro. I say this shit all the time. I never did this beeline. I never did this right here. Look,
oh, dang.
Treadmill right there. Listen, I literally got a damn. Look, I'm gonna turn. I'll turn the whole camera. That beeline. This is Brian B over here.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
There we go. Got the bag. Got the heavy bag.
I got a damn everything over here, man.
Yes, you do.
And still, listen, Dave. And still my ass don't do the shit.
It's just right there. You can roll out of bed and you can just start punching that bag.
Yo, but it's just like you just said, man. A lot of times it's just easier. Easy is the key word to why people don't get what they can fucking achieve, because it's easier, man. And I'm not trying to take that away from anybody either, because I do know, I got 3 kids, man. I got a family. I have a job that I work 4 days a week. I'm also doing the beeline. I'm also trying to do different shit.
Right.
Easy is something I look for.
Right. Absolutely.
Shit is hard on a regular basis. But easy is something that I look for. I do look for that period where I can sit down and play the game real quick. I do look for that period where I can say, oh, fuck that cooking tonight. I want to go and get me a like easy meal that I could just, let me just make this fast sandwich or something. You know, I do look for easy, but the people who don't look for easy are the ones that excel, man.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that shit as I get older. Yo. It's important to understand that.
Absolutely. When you know that it's in my book, I talk about, this is one of the most fascinating things I learned in my research. So your brain, my brain, all of our brains have these neurotransmitters. They connect. And when we have something easy, we want to keep it that way. And those connections in your brain, they don't break, they get stronger. Yeah. So if your normal thing is to go home, throw in a frozen pizza in the oven, eat the frozen pizza, and then, you know, go to sleep so you can go to bed, your brain expects that. It has a pathway. But here's the amazing thing, Brian, that I learned. I was stunned with it. You can literally rewire those neurotransmitters in your brain so that if you start doing it long enough, like, for example, eating a whole foods diet, you literally build new pathways in your brain, and your brain now expects that. And if you try and go in the McDonald's drive-through, your brain starts to say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't do that. That's not what we do. Just like, what are you doing, Brian? You're not hitting the heavy bag. Your brain's telling you that's not. Exactly. But if you do it long, you can literally rebuild. Any of us can do it. All of us. If I can do it at 51, anybody can do it a lot younger than me. It's not lying. It's definitely, it's within all of our power to do it. So
isn't it crazy that so much of that stuff is so mental, man? Like
it's great. It's so almost all mental.
Yeah, it's all mental, bro. You build your mental up, for sure. But I'm telling you right now, like, you know, until your mental is straight, or you have enough strength to mentally, you know, physically go towards the rest of your body, whether it be you want to start lifting weights, you want to start working out more. If your fucking head ain't there, man, it's with everything. With everything.
Absolutely. Where your mind goes, your body goes.
You really see it.
It truly, that's how that thing works. And I learned that the hard way. And, you know, the key thing to anybody listening, I fell off the wagon. It took me a long time to figure this whole thing out. It wasn't like after 3 months, oh, everything's smooth. No. It doesn't work like that. But the key is you got to keep getting up. You got to keep trying it. And you know, if you're really tired, you don't go to the gym, just go in and get on the treadmill for 5 minutes. I bet you'll keep going. You know, it's like you just got to take baby steps. And you know, if you're someone who's maybe really out of shape, maybe you can't go to the gym yet. Maybe it's just walk around the block. And then after you can do that, walk 2 blocks. And then after that, do 3 blocks. And if you do that for months and months, guess what you're doing after a few months? Now you're jogging a mile. It's just wherever you're at, you just have to take that step. And that's a key takeaway from everything that I learned is you just don't quit. That's things.
That's awesome, man. And it's like, you know, one thing, definitely, like, congratulations, man, for, like, you know, overcoming that, you know, stuff that you had to go through. You know, a lot of times, like you said, you know, you didn't really think, you know, if this health shit didn't kick in for you, you don't know where you'd be right now. You might be doing the same thing you were doing before. You had a extra kick in the ass to kind of, you know, say, okay, it's time to get started. I know I've been bullshitting. It's time to realize it and change. For a lot of people, I don't think we get all that. Like I said, I was one of those type of people where I was always just working out because I wanted to work out. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. I always had an image like, oh yeah, I want to, you know, be a 6-pack abs and shit like that or whatever. But it's like, at the end of the day, when I was working out, I was still, like, you know, just comfortable with myself, and I wasn't getting bad information like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, die tomorrow, so I better start changing. I had to start noticing that as I got older. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to start noticing like damn, if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, I'm gonna get into a bad situation here, and it's gonna be because of me. I don't want to wait until something bad happens to make a change. So that's why, like, I'm trying to start it now.
I'm gonna hold something up here, Brian. You may not be able to. You probably can't see it on there. I don't know.
The background. If you hold it a little bit in front of your face, I think it'll probably hold it a little better.
Maybe not. Maybe not with the background on there. But anyway, that idea of time, like when you're younger, like you are, you don't realize it. I actually put it in my wife thinks I'm a little crazy. I put a time left in my life clock based on my average height, weight, and age.
Oh, shit. Really?
We don't know how long we got.
No.
We don't know. and a lot of times our health, the things we want to accomplish in life, we just always think there's tomorrow and there's tomorrow and there's tomorrow. Well, as I look back, some people always say, I have no regrets in life. I did everything exactly the way I want. Nah, I have a lot of regrets that I wish I would have started way earlier than I did.
Yeah.
But one of my big things was I didn't take the time serious. I didn't take the time. I always thought, oh, I can do this tomorrow. I can do this next week. And, this big health scare and the way I live now, man, I value every second because, man, we don't know. We just don't know.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It is one thing, like, I think you hear a lot of people say, just like you just said, like, I think when you're younger, man, it's like, the world is still kind of, you're experiencing so much. I don't think you really stop to think about, that part of it. It's still, everything's still really new to you, whether it be through your relationship life, whether it be through your work life, whether it be through your, experience in the world on your own life, whatever the case may be, whatever goals that you have in mind that you want to, attain. I think that people don't really have time to sit back. That's why I don't think it really starts hitting you until, you get to your mid 30s or you're almost 40s and you start to realize, oh, damn, I bumped my knee 2 days ago and the shit still hurts a little bit. Like I was telling my girl that shit the other day. I'm like, yo, like, when baby, you notice when you hurt yourself now, that shit hurt for like a week now. It's like,
wait till you're 50 and then you'll really appreciate it.
I can imagine. It's like, I'm like, yo, shit hurts a lot longer now. And
right.
I don't think people have to think about this shit when they're younger, bro. It's like you're young, you got a whole bunch of other things that you're. It's a hard thing to explain and like put into, complete understanding because it's like there are a lot of factors, man. Like I would never go up to somebody, what's wrong with you? Why are you not? Blah, blah, blah. People are going at this crazy ass world, especially like you just said, like we were saying earlier, with technology advanced, beyond anybody's fucking, wildest dreams. So you can literally get lost, you get lost just looking at your phone.
Yeah, that's true.
People sit here and say like, how can you just sit on your phone? Why? Because I can literally go through a whole fucking people's lives, just literally just looking at different things, learning different things. I just, rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. I just saw, the rapper Biz Markie just passed away. I'm sitting there like, damn, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Biz Markie, everybody. She said she just.
Oh my gosh,
oh baby.
That came out when I was in my younger days. Yes, I remember Biz Markie. So.
Rest in peace, Biz Markie, man. Rest in peace, brother. But I learned that from looking at my fucking device I have in my pocket, 24/7. It's understandable why people do not have a great grasp on shit that they really should be paying attention to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't blame anybody for the fault, but you can educate. And I think that looks like what you're doing. You said you wrote a book, right?
Yeah, and my book, it's just called Simple Truths, which is how I live my life. Beautiful. And all that book does is line out the 7 things I do every day. That's all it is.
Okay.
The things I do for my health. We talked a little bit about diet and exercise. Things I do for my mind, reading, journaling. Things I do for my spirit. You don't have to be religious, but you can meditate.
Yes.
You don't have to be religious, but you can still read religious texts just for the knowledge and the wisdom that exists in all of them.
Exactly. Yes.
And so this book is literally nothing more than my journey from where I was to where I'm at.
Beautiful.
And, I'm giving it away for free. People can pay whatever they want for it. I mean, it sells on Amazon for $9.99. But I don't do this for money. I'm a college instructor, and that's what I do. That's my passion. That's what I'm always going to do because that's just me. This book is nothing more than just me kind of outlining. Here's how I live my life, mind, body, spirit. Because man, you can't ignore one aspect for the other. There's huge bodybuilders that are so messed up mentally or spiritually. There's supermodels that are just living in a internal hell. Same thing. There's people really smart and successful in business, but their body's falling apart. You can't ignore one for the other. Life is a holistic is a holistic thing.
Hey, David, while you're speaking about that, honestly, like, it's crazy. Like you're saying that, and the big thing now is like everybody acknowledging like mental health. And it kind of started as like, people really speaking about, the kids that are going into schools and, shooting up schools and shit like that or whatever, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like people, at least that's what I remember. Like, that's really where people started acknowledging, like, how are these people getting guns or getting close to guns? And they're always coming back like, oh, they're mentally ill and stuff like that or whatever. And that's where I remember that conversation going. Now, I do say that saying this right here. I do think that there is kind of a trend now. And I think this happens whenever something becomes very like popular in as far as topics, people kind of, grasp on it. And then everything gets turned into, well, my mental health is not good. Somebody yelled at me yesterday. My mental health couldn't take it. I'm like, listen. Listen, I'm not trying to fucking out nobody, but I'm just saying, like, don't try to jump on the bandwagon just because you hear a new fucking phrase is out there to grasp.
Right.
Like, pay attention, like, because there are people with serious issues that really are having problems every day. And, you don't want to flood the market with everybody's little experiences, not to down you, but just being honest, man. The people that are going into schools and shooting up fucking schools and, gaining access to weapons with that, kind of caliber, like, that's the shit we need to be paying attention to. Not because somebody yelled at you on Twitter and now you don't know how to take it. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. Personally, you feel me? Like, people that are going through, body, image problems and stuff like that or whatever, things of that nature, I definitely understand, man. I can fall in line, but I'm just saying we have to be understanding. Like, everybody has problems. You ain't gonna act. I don't give a fuck what. I'm gonna go into a rant. I don't want to, but it's like, we're at the stage, I feel like, where we're talking with people, man, and it's like everybody wants their form of pain or discretion or whatever the fuck you want to call it. They want to fit it into the the ball of topics that people are going to pay attention to, whether it be you being overweight. That's what I want to ask you, David. People overweight now are getting upset with people in, like, the limelight or in the media or in the spotlight if they lose weight. So you got somebody, I remember it happened with Adele, and Adele had lost weight and people were like clowning her. Like, oh, I thought you were comfortable with yourself. Why would you do that? Are you fucking high? Like, like, how can you? It's crazy, bro. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, there's actually a phenomenon. It's a psychological phenomenon called the crab mentality. Sometime in history, and I don't know where, someone observed a bunch of crabs inside of a bucket. And the second one crab tried to climb out of the bucket, the other crabs would pull it back down and keep it inside the bucket. So none of them get out.
Yeah.
That crab mentality exists. So, Adele trying to lose some weight. Sometimes people are a lot more comfortable if she stays right where she's at. And they pull her right back down into that. And also along that information, it's a blessing and curse of culture, this access to information. It's a blessing because we have it. On the downside, when you look at mental health, you get a lot of self-diagnosis.
Yeah.
Oh, that's me. Oh, my friend on Facebook has that. And so I'm going to have that too. And I'm going to, so nothing's ever perfectly symmetrical or binary or perfectly black and white. There's always shades of gray, and that access to information is great, and that social media, if it's used properly and effectively, and you're consuming things like your show where you're having long conversations about topics and you're explaining and talking and connecting, that's all good. But it can also go to the other extreme too if you're consuming yourself in pornography constantly, or you're getting in these yelling fights over Facebook where nobody wins and everybody calls each other names and everybody leaves mad, and now you feel bullied and upset and angry, and that's not a good place to invest your mental energy, because that's not going to get you anywhere. And this is that blessing and curse about everything. So
I think people need to understand that, man. That right there, that what you just said. I said the other day, I don't even know if it was on the show or not, but I literally was saying, like, I was telling somebody, like, I'm trying to get better with appreciating the bad times that come in my life, man. I'm trying to get better with understanding when things go bad, instead of getting like upset, even though it is hard because like, especially like, from whatever situation it may be, maybe you got a flat tire going to work, maybe you got hit by a car, maybe whatever the fucking case may be, man, as long as you survived it, as long as you're still up and walking and making your moves, doing what you got to do, you're still heading on a good path, man. You got to understand there's going to be things in life that happen that you don't fucking like. I think that's the biggest thing for people to understand. Everything is not supposed to be catered to your liking. Everything's not supposed to be catered to just working out and being perfect for you. You have to appreciate the bad times so you can love the good times, man. And I'm trying to get better at that shit, Oh, it's important, man.
I mean, if you think about it, and I tell my college students, if I could just give you a degree and you could leave today and you can take this degree and go on, does it mean anything? Yeah. If you just got it without any struggle, without any hardship or any failure, does it literally mean anything? And the answer obviously is no. It's the only way we grow is through the hard times.
Yeah.
If everything in life is easy, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. You need to fail at something. Even if it's just Dave, a little fail.
Dave, you want to? I'm sorry to cut you off. What you just said that, and I want to give the beeline a nice analogy. This is going to sound real stupid, yo. But listen, me and IT Tiff, AO Beeline, listen, your boy, I do a whole bunch of shit. But me and IT Tiff, we used to play a game called Fallout. Now, for those who know, hey, Dave, you play games or anything like that?
No, that was kind of before my time, Dad.
Yeah, so we play on PlayStation. There's a game called Fallout. Now, Fallout is an incredible game, very vast. You go and you got a world and it's open and you do a whole bunch of different things. You shoot people and you're doing missions. It's like a apocalyptic world in the future.
Like a Call of Duty or something like that. Or...
It's kind of like that, but it's a little bit more open, like a big world to explore. Okay. Like, it's a crazy game. So we play Fallout, and in Fallout, after a while, people like come out with these different modifications to the game that they add to the game. So you can go ahead and you can add mods to the game, and gamers are gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. And you can, be invincible and have 1 billion bullets and have $1 billion and do this or whatever. Now, after playing the game without all that stuff, you're playing and it's hard. You're trying to beat stuff. You're trying to fight. You're trying to do this, trying to do that or whatever, and everything's challenging. So it's like you're constantly. You'll play the game for 50 fucking days straight. You quit your job. You feel me?
Addictive like that, yeah.
Exactly. It's addictive as hell. So it's like you'll do that shit or whatever, and you'll be playing it, and it'll be like, the biggest thing. So then the mods come out, and you're like, oh, I don't have to do any of this shit. I can just get the cheat codes and stuff like that. So you add all the mods, and your guy is invincible. He's got 1 billion bullets. He's got this. He's got that. He's got all the stuff to make the houses. He's got everything that you need or whatever. And then you start realizing something. I'm fucking bored.
Yeah, too easy.
I have everything. I don't even need to do anything because the reason why I was doing things before was because I was trying to get shit. Right. But now I have everything. You feel it might seem silly, but if you think of it in that kind of category, like if everything that you try to work for or go towards or journey to is just instantly magic genie. Oh, you want that? Here it is. Oh, you want that? Here it is. What the fuck are you really trying for? Nothing. Nothing, bro. And just from that stupid little, game that I sat there and said, I'm bored now.
Perfect analogy.
I have everything. This guy is invincible. Nothing can stop him.
Right.
What does he do? He just walks around now. Now I can just go, oh, God, no, I'm not going to die. I don't even got to care anymore.
Absolutely.
You really have to understand that the hard work that you're putting in to every scenario, situation, challenge, whatever you want to be faced with or going to be faced with, you have to appreciate the journey, man, the experience, the fight, the struggle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm learning that shit at 34, man. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't always knowing this, but it's just like, I'm learning, man. I'm learning.
You got it. Yeah. Yeah. And, it's just, especially anybody in their 20s listening, grab whatever you want by the throat and just go and look at every failure as a step forward. Yep. If it's coming too easy, you've cut yourself, you're holding yourself back. You're selling yourself short.
Yeah.
It's got to be hard. and then you overcome it. And then guess what you'll do? You'll look for the next and the next, kind of like your video game, the next and the next. But if it all comes easy, what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that these billionaires, Elon Musk and Bill Gates, and they don't just sit in their house and do nothing. They're always doing something more. They got all the money they'd ever want. It isn't about the money. It's about the chase. It's about it's about the hunt. It's about the journey. And, you know, I wish I knew that in my 20s.
Man,
if I could go back and do it again, I'd be killing it.
Yeah, I'm saying that shit now.
It took me that long. Yeah.
You know, I've had conversations with people in that kind of nature too, where it's like, you know, where you say to yourself, like, hey, if you can go back with the knowledge you have now, you know, that's the grand old question. Go back with the knowledge you have now, would you? And it's like some people like, you know, yeah, there's some things I would love to do different and things like that or whatever. But then you have to remember, man, the shit that you did go through, the things that you did go through made you, man.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think, like, you know, at the same time, it's like, even though you might have knowledge, you know what I'm saying? It kind of is like that grand question, like, oh, if I went back and just yesterday and I knew the lottery numbers, I played the lottery and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe you'd be a completely different person. Maybe your life would, maybe it would be easier. Maybe you get murdered. You know, you don't know what the door, you know, number 2 holds. You went on the path that you went on, and that's where you ended up. Like, you know, you don't even know if maybe if you had the knowledge and went back, you might not even be here as educated, as smart, as well spoken. You might be in a whole different level. Like, I knew that shit. Now you gain arrogance and conformity.
Absolutely. Well, and you know, I didn't change until I was 50. So
really?
Maybe you don't even go back, you know, for anybody listening in their middle, it can happen. If I can do it at 50, anybody can do it in there, or even older than me. The reality is, as long as you're drawing breath, if you're just complacent and everything's easy, you can always, I mean, you can always pick up something and try it and do, you know, push a passion somewhere that maybe you never did for 20, 30 years.
Very true.
I mean, you know, so hopefully, I mean, that's just the hero's journey right there. I mean, you know, when Jonah went in the belly of the whale, man, that's that spot where it all hit the fan, and you either quit or you overcome, and you know, you got to push. And it's a big message for it. Just push into something, whatever your passions are, just push into it. So what if you fail? I mean, that's where the growth is.
Man. Yeah, don't be scared. I think that's an important message. That's a really important message. Well, Dave, you know, in your book, man, I think one thing I definitely like about your book, which I'm going to definitely go on Amazon and, you know, pick it up. I want to check it out, just because I can tell that you got a good head on your shoulders and you know what you're doing, man. You've been a college professor, you know, for, you said 20 years, like, you know, you've been doing it for a while,
years
man.
Now. Yeah,
that's incredible. But you know, just keeping it simple, you know what I'm saying, not making it too complicated. You were giving really good information earlier about how people kind of go online and I think you overcomplicate. I think some people really overcomplicate their education or whatever they're trying to look for, because a part of them doesn't really want to do it. I think sometimes people try to look for like the very complicated, because it's an easy excuse, it's an easy out for them not to have to face the challenge. Like, but I can't do that on Tuesdays. I work on Tuesdays. All right, I'm not gonna, like, you know, you can always find an excuse to try to not do something. But I think that when you start to break things down into the simplicity, and that's what I had to learn as well. Like I said, I didn't come up with any grand goal. I was just like, you know what, instead of doing that, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna try this for a change. Like, and that was my process. You know what I'm saying? Everything doesn't have to be this big staple calendar message that you got, that you're trying to, you know, achieve, like 30-day challenge. You know, fuck all that shit, man. Just wake up and say, you know what, instead of that, you know, coffee and bagel, I'm gonna have a piece of fruit and some water. Like,
there you go.
That alone is just building your foundation, bro. It's like making daily choices, your decisions, whatever you're you know, trying to walk through, if the path you walk in, just choose this way instead of that way, man. It can be easier than a complicated mess. Oh, I thought I could do it for 30 days, but my friend's birthday, now I'm gonna eat cake. Like, It's always gonna be a fucking excuse. Like
there's always going to be an event. Yeah, but
yeah,
what you're hitting on there, Brian, is it's got a psychological. It's called complexity bias. We tend to move towards solutions that are complicated, which seems it should be counterintuitive. That we should naturally go to the simple, but the modern mind, especially, is like, well, if it's so simple, it must not work. It has to be high tech, really complicated. I saw one of the most funny pieces of equipment's the mirror. I don't know if you've seen commercials for the mirror. It's like it's like some 3D holographic image, and you program it, and you got to buy some subscription service, and if you lose electricity or a light bulb goes out in the thing, it's like, oh, I guess I can't. No, you can just go outside and walk. How about you just walk the dog? How about you walk the dog for 30 minutes? We like to make it really hard.
Yeah, that's true.
And, plus we're bombed every second of every day by marketing.
Yeah.
Try this, do this. Here's this pill. Here's this diet. Oh, here's this study. Here's this, that. And it's just, it bombards us, and it can freeze us in this complexity bias. And then nothing gets done. Rather than just doing, and that's the thing, the whole thing of the book. Here's 7 things.
Yeah.
Can you pick up a book and read it for 10 minutes a day?
Exactly.
Because the smartest people that have ever lived say one thing: you won't get smart if you don't read. You got to read the greatest minds that have ever lived, because when you read them, you absorb them. And as you absorb them, you make them work in your own life, however they work, or eat clean food, or go to the gym 4 days a week, or heck, go for a walk 4 days. That none of it is hard, but the book is just that journey of, here's how I did it, here's what I did, here's how you can do it, and it's just ABC 1, 2, 3, the end. And and I think if people just get, and sometimes we get overwhelmed with stuff and what people might say, and we have that self-doubt. Oh, I could never do that because I've always been this, or I've never been smart, I can't read a book. It's just we throw these doubts in our mind. But if you just take it one little day at a time, the things I do, I'm going to be doing them for the rest of my life. I'll admit, I go to the beach in Tampa. I might stop at Culver's and have one of those horrific 800-calorie ice creams every once in a while.
Just tell you.
But if I do it once a month, I'm going to burn it off in one day, and I'm just going to go about my business. Yeah. No, I don't want to do it every single 2 or 3 times a week. Now I got a problem.
Exactly.
But it's about just making lifestyle choices and not killing yourself or beating yourself up when you don't achieve something.
Yeah.
Just keep grinding. Just keep grinding.
Keep that work going, man.
Absolutely.
D-Line. Listen, This is Mr. David Hopkins. And as you can tell, like I said, man, the Talking with Strangers segment, I'm just hitting up people, man. He actually contacted me. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to start doing this. Like, potentially, I had a couple of people, everybody you talk. No, I don't know everybody I talk to, but I'm just saying, I wanted to make a statement on this segment, Talking with Strangers. I don't know people. You don't know people. You walk next to people every day you don't know. You work with people you don't know sometimes. But it's just like, there are some interesting people out here, man, that are going through a struggle, and you never know what a person or the next man can teach you, man. And honestly, Dave, this is some shit that I really needed to hear. Like, the things that you're saying as far as like, the challenges that's faced you within the last year or so. It's just very interesting information, man. I definitely appreciate you coming on. And hey, we're gonna put your book on the description so people can just click. And if you guys want to get a copy, it's very important that you listen to this, man. Really pay attention. Like, we don't, what I'm saying? He's a college professor, so you should probably pay more attention to him. But your boy Brian B, I just come in here, I talk shit, and I just like I like the conversation, man. And for everybody who needs to hear this stuff, man, I really hope you find your way. I really hope you understand, like, we are the smartest generation that's probably ever been on this planet. Absolutely. But at the same time, it's making us the dumbest because we're paying too much attention to shit we don't need to. Absolutely. And we're fighting each other for reasons that don't make any damn sense. And but we're gonna get through it, man. It's just,
Absolutely.
it's just our time for what we're going through. But Dave, you got anything to say, man, in closing, man? You got anything else you want to speak on?
Totally appreciate you, Brian, and totally appreciate what you're doing. See, the amazing thing with these long conversations, they're so much better than a news broadcast, 30-second soundbite, which is pure garbage and propaganda and noise and BS. These conversations are where it's really at. And so I appreciate what you're doing and pushing this out there to your crowd. So I think it's a great way for people to talk and interact with each other. That's so much more constructive than just the soundbite garbage we see out there. So
so I started, man. The Beeline was all about, the Beeline. Of course, I'm Brian B, but it's just literally Beeline, straight to the point, man.
There you go.
I wanted to have a platform where it was just like, I wasn't sugarcoating, man. You ever notice when you're talking to somebody or something like that, and you're trying to say something to them, especially when it's trying to be direct, and you're trying to explain it to them, and you're saying it to them, you're like, well, John, maybe you went that way. But if you were to just literally say, John, you need to stop doing that. Put that big on you know what I'm saying? Like that straight direction is what gets the results, on occasion. You might make them cry, you might make them this, but you confront them like, hey, John, I love you, brother, but it's just like I need to tell you straight. And that's what the whole straight to the point is all about, man. Unfiltered.
Great concept. So.
But but thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Congratulations and everything that you've done so far. I know you got a podcast. Shout your podcast out, man.
Yeah, so I have a podcast. It's Intellectual Freedom. If you just go to daviddhopkins.com, there's a link in there, and I've been doing it about a year or so. A lot of culture, society, technology type topics. Some personal development and growth type stuff that I throw in there. So I don't have a real specific, I try and hit across a whole bunch of different stuff. Education, every once in a while, I'll throw in one out there for that too. So
yes, beautiful. Yeah, man, I'm definitely going to check it out. I want to say, you seem like a very, very intelligent guy, man. It was very nice talking to you, Mr. David. I'm going to put this episode out, and I hope that you guys see it. Beeline, hope you guys like it. Dave is on he's on his moves, man. And it's obviously very smart. So if you guys want to check that out and put the links in there for you, and we're going to do big things. Yo, let's keep growing. Beeline, listen, your boy, Brian B. I love y'all, man. Thank you guys so much. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and just keep pushing for success, man. We want the best for everybody. I hope everybody, conquers their challenges and completely, their demons, whatever you fighting, man, keep fighting. Don't let nobody stop you onto the path that you need to be successful or happy, whatever you need in your life. I love you all, man. Hey, Dave, man, thank you once again so much for coming on.
Brian. My pleasure.
Great talk, great conversation, man. Great conversation. Hey, Beeline, stay true, stay positive, pay attention, baby. And your boy Brian B. Well, holla.